back on the A5. We're just finishing up a couple little bits of the hardware on the turbo, and that leads us to what we're going to do next. This one needs ripping off and the big one putting on. So these tests that we've just done are the baselines. We want to make sure closer to the time that we're going to be doing the turbo that we got everything logged, checked and tweaked to make sure that we're not going to straight away drop into another snag with this bigger turbo. So we've had to do a little bit of playing about because there's some limits in the ECU as you put more fuel in there. Issue requests more torque, the gearbox doesn't like it, so we've tried doing a little bit. We've had to skew things a little bit, but just so that we don't put the turbo on and then the test's no good. One of the things that we have done, these graphs might look a bit more sort of terrible than they should do, but this pink and red lines, these are another two different tunes that we've got, reduced torque and latest spool. We've requested that just so that we can have this as an accurate comparison to the new turbo, so to speak, because obviously the big turbo is going to spool a little bit later. We don't want to just have one tune like, I can't remember what version that is, but say it's version 90 or whatever it is. Took that many tunes. But we don't want to be sort of using version 90 as a benchmark, put it on there, as soon as you put your foot down it goes into limp mode because we're requesting too much boost. So that's what these later couple of revisions are. But rather than do them after we've fitted the turbo, if we do them before, show what this turbo does, which you tell it to do some boost, and it does it later, which is expected. Obviously when you've got a big turbo, you can't ask it to do boost earlier and it do it if it physically can't. So that's why we've done it like this. We're making roughly about the same sort of figures we normally make. This is without any water injection. So we're in 420s just about. So we're happy with that. So we'll get it ripped off, get the big turbo on, and we'll try and get some videos of the fabrication, installation before we get it on dyno again, and hopefully some more interesting stuff. But we're in uncharted territory here, so wish us luck. Right, so while we're just waiting for the turbo to come back from, we're having a flanging machine at downpipe. While waiting for that, decided to get Dan just to put these silencers on. We talked about them before, how we're going to do them. We've got twin 4-inch slash cut tips on it now, the inwardly rolled ones. So looks a ton better, fills out this splitter a lot better. And we've managed to get the transition from 1 into 2 inside here, because that's always a difficult piece to make, especially when it's so short and you're trying to get a silencer in as well. So it's worked out pretty good. So we'll have the turbo back in the morning. I'm not going to be here, so we'll try and get a video of Dan ripping the turbo off and then start mocking it up and see how we get on. Hopefully the Y piece that we've made is going to work out all right. And then we have got some other little bits have turned up. We've got the oil return fitting, some dash 10Os for the oil return fitting. So this, it does fit quite nice in actually. Just it'll be nice and tight to back at engine as it is. So hopefully that works out all right. Got all the gaskets, the gasket for the downpipe, like I said, the other flange and the gasket for the downpipes just being machined now. And yeah, we'll try and have another look at it when we're a bit further along. Right, so hopefully the time lapse was some good, because batteries kept going flat and Dan don't like being on camera, so he never told anybody, so we had to keep trying to catch him out and turn them back on. So there's definitely going to be some stuff missed. How much, we're not too sure. But it's on. We've still yet to put the bulkhead panel in. We made the tip pipe. This is not the finished article. I don't like these sort of lobster cuts, pie cuts, whatever you want to call them. So this is literally just to get a pipe from the standard airbox onto here, like that. And then we're going to have to just put the breather down here to wherever it goes down here somewhere. It's down there. So we'll get that sorted. So as usual with a big turbo like this, there's plenty of room all in places that you don't need it. But the bonnet does shut, I've been assured. The downpipe's fitted. I don't know if you can see it very well from here. It's been lifted up a little bit. But we ended up, I did say we were going to go 3.5 inch, but this is only 3 inch at the minute. Just because of space constraints, we couldn't get a tight enough bend in the time scale we needed to get it in 3.5 inch. Plus the entry in the turbo were just in between. So I just said, let's forget about it. We'll just do it with 3 inch. It should flow plenty. If we're running a Rosa sort of power, we did a test, ripped inlet pipe off. I don't know if we videoed that. I can't bloody remember now. But it was like 10 horsepower at 650 horsepower, something like that. So it's no big deal. We're not quite there yet. If we put bigger wheel in it, we might end up having to go down that route, but we'll see. So he's got a little bit more putting things to put back together, should I say. A little bit of neatening up, a little bit of tidying up. There's going to be some changes on this if we do it as a full kit. Like the actuator bracket will be different. It's just we made it with what we can. Like so, the downpipe's a bit different. The tip pipe will be a little bit different, but the principle will be there. Whether we sell it as a kit that comes with everything, or whether we let people just buy the little bits that they need, I don't know. Probably just be a full kit, because it's quite involved, and I don't want to be answering loads of questions to people asking how we made this fit, how we made that fit, if we actually sell the part. But we'll see, because it's not going to be cheap. The turbo's expensive on its end. So yeah, when it's finished, we'll get a couple of pictures that will slot in after me talking rubbish. And I'm not here tomorrow, we're at the track doing a bit of testing before the next race. So as usual, it always drops on that I don't get to be the first person to drive it. But James and Mike, the tuners, they're here, so they're going to get a chance to go out in it. We'll be shocked if it just works and behaves as good as the standard turbo. So we'll see how we get on, and we'll go from there. So thank you. Right then, the eagle-eyed amongst you will realise that's not the big turbo. So we had all the turbo fitted, it all went to plan. It took a lot of time, to be honest, to get it right. It was more time than I wanted to take, but we had to sort of do it how we're going to do it if we're going to create a kit. So some of the stuff was quick and rough and ready, but we're still thinking about how we're going to do it as a kit all the way through, rather than it being just a one-off project. Got it on there. I had a little drive of it the day it was completed, because it took a bit longer while I were off. So yeah, it was the day after it should have been ready. I went for a little drive in it, and it drove really nice. A little bit lazy when you stamped on it at low RPM, but like between gears and stuff, it just felt really nice. That were on the same tune that the 28 had been on, so we'd not changed the tuning, just the same one. Drove really nice. Obviously we've got a lot to do in the tuning to get it where we wanted it. So really happy. Packed up, we're busy doing some other customer cars, and we finally got it onto the dyno over the weekend. So this is what we got. So this blue line here, 420 horsepower, that was the baseline before we ripped it to bits. So you've got full boost at around 2800, 560 foot-pound or thereabouts. Just dropping the turbo on, no extra fuel, no extra boost, which this were a fairly lean tune because it was sort of the track tune. 436, only really making a difference at the top, and you see the spool's a fair bit lazier, what you could tell on the road, so 600 RPM lazier. But this is just direct back-to-back comparison. All was not lost, we're happy with that, and we're running 2.3 bar of boost. Exhaust pressures were a little over 2 bars, if I remember correctly, so that's good. Nice inlet to exhaust pressure ratio. Next logical step, let's whack a little bit more N75 duty cycle in there, close the vanes a little bit harder, a little bit more, because by this point they're going to start to open. Close them a little bit more, see what boost it can make at what RPM. And while we're there, we said we know we need a bit more fuel, a bit more boost. So this is what we got. Just show plot. And there we go. So we managed to make it spool 300 RPM early, so probably 3100 before full boost then, and it did a bit more torque. But you can see, so this is the torque, this is the power. As we climbing up, got to about 4220, 4230 RPM. Drops off. The reasons why it drops off will become apparent in a second, but we'll just look at a cause and effect. So power dropped. I'll click on this one here. So we're looking at the exhaust pressure now. This is the exhaust pressure at the side. So the top's 4 bar absolute. So sorry, 4 bar including the atmospheric taken away. So this is the pressure you'd see on a gauge. So we're saying we run 2.5 bar of boost. We want to keep 1 to 1 if we can, 1.5 to 1 worst case. So you can see just over 2 bar at the top on the previous run, running 2.3 bar of boost. Turning it up to 2.5 bars of boost, we ended up with 3.4. So if I were running this on the dyno at this point, and I could see the EMPs creeping up, that much difference between runs, I'd have shut off then. Apparently I'm told the guy who was driving the car at the time was just about to shut off when he heard a little popping noise. It just sounded like a boost pipe popping off. But if we go over into the workshop, we'll see what the actual problem was. Right. We're not in workshop, it's a bit too noisy and there's not a clean bench in sight, so we're just in packing area at the minute. So this is the turbo. That's not how the compressor wheel's meant to look. You don't even need a turbo expert to tell you that. So this will be the first time I've even looked at it. I've got an idea what's happened because there was no oil anywhere, so I believe, and we'll see, that the shaft snapped just behind the compressor wheel. So should be enough to get it off. Screw that back on before I lose it. Oh, here we go. And there we've got it. So it hasn't actually it's not brought the shaft. The actual back of the compressor wheel's broken off. So this is what you call a ballless wheel, which has got the nut that's normally separate and the shaft normally comes through. This is actually part of the wheel, and the rear of this is threaded. So you can't see because it's all broken off, but there's a threaded section on there. But if you look, that's broken off. But that, if I turn it from the other side, sorry Danny, I'm not making your life easy. That is actually the shaft, and it's bent. It's definitely bent the shaft. That is part of the turbine. So you can just see the start of the threads on the end there. So I just think, obviously this compressor wheel has been spinning, likely spinning too fast. That's why the exhaust pressures were high. We said on the part 1 of this turbo video that we reckon that inducer diameter was going to be too small. It had a fairly decent exducer, a little bit small in the inducer. We knew that would be a restriction, but what we didn't realise is that it'd be a restriction so soon. Obviously, it's still showing us that our GTD2872 turbos, the perfect recipe for this engine, for the sort of 420s to 440, 450s, depending which dyno you're putting it on. But we found a weak point on this turbo from the factory. So this only went pop, I think Saturday it was. We've already put the 28 back on there. We're going to do the dyno runs, make sure that's behaving, because we've got to go to the Performance German Day at the weekend. So the next video hopefully is going to be a little bit more positive than this one. But we've also, it might be a few weeks before we see it, but we've also got something sorted for this that we can improve. So obviously we're not going to build it like this again. So hopefully this has been a little bit insightful. It's not the positive big dyno figures that you'd like to see, or we'd like to see, but it's also not the usual crap that you can see online where people are just posting all the positive stuff on and not the negative stuff. This is part of the problem at R&D, whether you share it or not, is what the other guys are contemplating. We're just going to put everything on there, the good and the bad, and hopefully that helps people when they're choosing what they need to do next time. But lesson to anybody who wants to tune the cars: let idiots like us do all the R&D. It's a lot cheaper. This is probably a £4 mistake what we've caused here, so don't do it. So anyway, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.